Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. So let's make some new friends today. The United States Chamber of Commerce's mission is to fight for the interests of business and free enterprise before Congress, the White House, regulatory agencies, courts, the court of public opinion, and governments around the world. Sounds great in practice, but what do a bunch of people headquartered across from Lafayette Square in Washington, D.C. know about Grant Alvernon? Much like my produce, I prefer my regulatory agencies local, and the Tucson Metro Chamber is our membership-based business advocacy and community development organization that represents 1,500 businesses employing more than 160,000 employees in Tucson and Pima County. Founded in 1896, the Tucson Metro Chamber is committed to being the connector of leaders and influencers, a catalyst for business growth, and a champion for a stronger community. They do this through advocacy, events, and even a radio show. The Business of, this radio show, a podcast even, that showcases members of the Tucson Metro Chamber. A different topic is discussed each week from a business perspective. Let's not just get down to business, let's get down to the business of, because today I'm fortunate to speak with the hosts of the Business of, Melissa Rociano, Communications and Marketing Director of the Tucson Metro Chamber, as well as arch frenemy Zach Yentzer, Vice President of Business Advocacy of the Tucson Metro Chamber. Both of you, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
It's good to be here.
Thanks, Frank.
So what'd you think of that?
It was good. However, I'm just a manager, not a director. They don't pay me those big bucks.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, either way, we won't tell anybody. I won't edit it out. I'm in charge around here. That's right. But I'm super excited to talk to you guys because, again, I help produce your show every single week. It's a great show talking to all these great businesses. But I really only started to understand what the Tucson Metro Chamber actually is recently doing my research when I thought of the idea to have us all get together and have a big super action-packed show today. So why don't we talk a little bit about the 101 of the Tucson Metro Chamber, and then I want to focus on the business of and what it's been like to be great radio show hosts and podcast hosts here in Tucson, talking to a bunch of fun business leaders in town. So give me a little bit of history about the Tucson Metro Chamber.
For sure. Well, I'll kick it off.
Sure.
And the Tucson Metro Chamber has been around since 1896. It was actually started as a grocers association. And we're still trying to figure out why the grocers specifically thought they needed an association. But in 1896, they formed an association and obviously grew into a membership association that cuts across industries and sectors and represents businesses of all sizes. And our mission is to create an environment where your business thrives and our community prospers. And we kind of like to think about what we do as falling into two buckets. One is a champion bucket and one is a change maker bucket. And the way I see it is on the champion side, we get to showcase and talk about the amazing businesses and opportunities and what is going well in this community and the power of business to do good in Tucson. And so like a lot of chambers, we do events and gatherings. And so if you are a business that is looking to meet other businesses, connect to services, understand the community better, grow your business, we're a great place to come and see all that Tucson has to offer and to meet other great businesses. On the changemaker side, one of the things that is unique about the Tucson Metro Chamber is we are an advocacy chamber. We are active on staying on top of the policies and regulatory practices and ways that impact businesses on the policy side. And we work on our business's behalf to sit down with our policymakers and our influencers to help guide and shape an environment where business can thrive and our community prospers. And that's our change maker side.
I like that. I love that you use the word champion a lot because, again, that's what a lot of us need. We need champions to fight for us in the community and in any relationship, really. It's always good to have a champion there for you, fighting the battle that we don't even know that, some of the fights that we need to be fighting, because there's a lot of stuff happening in town and in our community, but you guys really have your finger on the pulse of a lot of these great things, as well as great programs that you yourselves do throw and get involved with to help all our business leaders and business owners of all sizes That's what I really realized when I was looking at the Tucson Metro Chamber and how it does work, because I was wondering about membership. Like, what is a Metro Chamber? How do you become a member? And I'm reading all this stuff. Oh, there's tiers of membership. There's different rankings for the size of your business, whether you're a gigantic corporation here in town or just a small business owner. And it's a pretty good level of the way you get involved. Again, you got to pay for that membership, but you have certain tiers and they come with all these great member benefits. So why don't we talk a little bit about the member benefits and what it is to be a business owner and a part of the Tucson Metro Chamber?
Sure. Frank, I'm actually really glad that you brought that up because first, I would like to mention that, like Zach said, we've been around for a very long time, over a century in Tucson. But I would honestly say that right now, we're a very different chamber as of late. Zach and I are relatively new to our roles, and the chamber is restructuring and we're becoming more modern. We like to say we're not your grandparents' chamber of commerce. And it really, part of that restructure is to highlight the amazing champion work that not just our staff, but our members do, because we've always done it, but we kept getting some feedback over time, like, what does the chamber do? Like, what are you doing? And, we would kind of sit there scratching our heads like, what do you mean? We're like busting our butts on a regular basis, having these meetings and, talking policy and being advocates. And, well, it makes sense. We're not really showcasing that. So that's kind of been part of this transition that we've been doing over the past 4 or 5 months, is really showcasing that. What are the policies that we're fighting for? Why does it actually matter? And, for people that have listened to our show, The Business Of, they've been used to a sort of format of it, talking to different businesses, but that sort of changed over time too, with me and Zach taking over, and it kind of showcases the things that we're doing, but it breaks it down for people to understand, like, this is why it matters. This is why we're advocating for, like, the Tucson bond, and this is why it's relevant to business. So that I just wanted to mention that, but why people should join the chamber and what exactly is it that we do. Like Zach mentioned, part of the benefits is we do host these events, whether they're small, they happen on a regular monthly basis, or they're large-scale events. We recently had our holiday reception at Desert Diamond Casinos, and we had a lot of legislators there and dignitaries, and we provide that space to connect to those people who can actually make those big decisions in our city. And on top of that, I know we can provide the space to connect with other business owners, but we also provide incentives, to provide services at a discounted cost that you wouldn't be able to get outside of the chamber. And on top of that, you're going to have opportunities to promote your business on a wider scale. We host a lot of ribbon cutting events. Those are so fun.
I was going to say, don't jump ahead. I was going to make fun of Zach for the ribbon cutting, all right? I'm very jealous. Do you have any gold scissors yet that you just keep at home on a shelf?
Hey, they're silver, okay.
We keep a pair of those at the chamber on a shelf. Those are big scissors. I didn't realize before. Those are not little scissors.
It's a big job of ribbon cutting. There's a lot of events. I thought that there was only a few, like, kind of keystone events that you have, like where you have the issues with the twist and the Copper Cactus Awards, but then I looked at your events calendar. Right now, there's over 80 events on your calendar, including ribbon cuttings, speed networking, which I love, the Chamber Exchange, and other fun things that are going on around here. Because the thing that you guys are, I always say this on Lifestyle Tucson, is that Tucson is the baby bear's porridge. It's just right. It's the right size. That's why we're all able to network real well. And that old adage of it's not what you know, it's who you know, is still how the world works, and might even be how the world works even more. And getting involved with an organization like yours is how you get involved and you find out the who to know. I discovered this when I really entered more of the small business world, with getting involved with Startup Tucson, figuring out about, like, oh, there's a startup community. Oh, there's these other weird business communities, small business communities. Tucson Young Professionals, I believe that was a part of your history there, Zach, right?
That's right.
Yeah, didn't you? Did you win an award as part of Tucson Young Professionals? Were you one of the 30 under 30?
I was a 40 under 40.
Oh, 40 under 40.
But it was a great 5 years serving as executive director of that organization.
I mean,
right before this one.
Yep, phenomenal work that you've always been involved in the town, in the city, doing some of that stuff. You even have a civics bee, which I love, civics. All right, that's exciting to get
I'm really
involved.
excited about that.
Right?
That's
See?
cool.
Right? And that's the thing is that I love community. That's my big thing. I love Tucson a lot. All right, Zach's got kids. I don't have kids yet. I always say Tucson's my baby. That's why I think I care so much, because that's where all my feelings go. They go to taking care of the kids in the town and the community and the families and all these great people that I meet at all these fun public events. And that's what you guys are. You're a real connector. So I really do. I just want to go back and talk about what it is to join the chamber. And then I want to get right to talking about the business of and why that's such a great thing, because it's being on the radio. It's my favorite thing to do. So you've got different tiers for how this all works. And let's start with a connector. It's just $495 annually. And that's really for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits with only one location looking for networking opportunities and proven ways to grow their company. That appeals to a guy like me. That appeals to a lot of people in this city. And then the next tier will be a promoter. And it's like if you have a bigger business. So as you get higher, obviously it costs more, but that's when you start helping out bigger companies, corporations, multiple location companies here, things like that. So I love the connector one, but now let's go on to promoter. So that's when you get $1,500 annually. That's what that costs. It's for corporations and businesses that are growing and want to get involved and make a positive impact in the community. And I think that's a key point. Businesses that want to do that, and I meet them, but they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they sometimes ask me, like, how do I get involved? I have a toy store owner. And he's like, I just want to give toys to kids at the holidays. Like, what do? I don't know how to have my own toy drive. How can I get involved with this and that? And it's like, get involved with that Tucson Metro Chamber, and I bet they'll be able to work that out with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That because we've had a lot of conversations like that before, even just anecdotally. Like I've had friends who want to start businesses and they're like, I just want to do this. This is what I'm passionate about, but I don't know anything about starting a business, right?
Yeah.
Like finances, payroll, like what's that? So being able to provide that space for members to then talk to, a CEO of a, payroll company and ask them like, hey, like, can you help me with this? Help me figure this out. And those benefits that you're reading off, they're we're entering into a new year, so they're going to be better than ever. We're going to have some added value and benefits to that to really give members what they're looking for. So, yeah, it's exciting stuff.
No, it is exciting. And then there's more levels there, but that's for our higher, bigger companies, champion level, as well as Catalyst, and then some Keystone investors. So big things if you want to be a part of the Tucson Metro Chamber at any level. And that's really exciting. We talked about some of these great events that you do. You talk about advocacy. What does that mean to people when you say the word advocacy? It means things like CART, the Coalition Against Retail Theft, which you just talked about a couple of weeks ago, as well as TRAC, the Tucson Restaurant Advisory Council, for the big gastronomy city that we are, famous for our food. Absolutely, we should have that. So you talk a lot about that stuff. But you know what you talk about a lot the most? Workforce development. What's that? Tell me about workforce development, why it's important. You got various programs from Blueprint, Emerging Leaders, Thrive in Tucson, and Pipeline AZ. All of this is available at TucsonChamber.org. You can find all that there. But tell me a little bit about workforce advocacy, and then I want to talk about the business of.
Sure. Frank, over time, we heard from our member businesses, I have all this work that needs to be done, but I can't find the workforce to do it. And we heard that across industries. And then we would sit down with economic development partners who would say, I have companies who either want to grow here in Tucson or relocate here, and they can't find the workforce for their sector or industry. And so we found that workforce drives a lot of market decisions. And for us, we want to tackle that issue from two angles. One angle is we want to understand in our key kind of core industries, especially, what workforce do we need in 5 or 10 years? And how do we work with education partners and policymakers to close that gap? And that can be very, very meta. But Frank, it can also be as simple as how can we convene people to get the right internships and apprenticeships going? So we're developing the workforce that is needed, certainly on the trades side and some of those hard skill positions. But then we're also looking at it from the employee angle. How can we help businesses and policymakers understand what gets in the way of workers being able to access the workforce? And how do we reduce some of those barriers? So it's very high level, but also very tactical. And you mentioned our blueprint. People can go on our website and look at our 5-part strategy that we worked with our members on around how we can increase the available workforce in the ways that our businesses need them.
I stumbled across that. I was very impressed. It's like
It's a lot of work.
Yes, it's a lot
Couple
of work.
years, in fact.
I believe it. A lot of bullet points, but it is. It's like, here's a whole strategic plan. It's not hidden. It's not. It's there. Follow it. A lot of stuff. A lot of success. It's just a template to follow. It really is. There's not like, what's the secret? The secret is do the work.
Yeah.
That's the secret. The writer must write. That's what they say.
Yeah.
And that's what holds a lot of people back is just the thinking, the planning, the plotting. You got to do the work, and having a support system as well as a template and bullet points, 2 years of research you've done, laying it out there, and it's all free right there on the site. I mean, that's a huge thing that really just does help get people over the hump and onto the next step of, be it the creative process, the starting a small business process, whatever process it is, to be a part of the community and be a business owner in town, and a successful business owner.
Absolutely.
Very important.
And our members do the work. And that's one of the things that I love about the chamber, like the committees and coalitions that you just mentioned, TRAC and CART. That isn't just us. Those are made up of members. Members join those groups, and they're the ones speaking on the issues. We never had the intention of coming in and saying we know best. We're not business owners. I've had my own personal experience from family, but like I don't know the struggles on a daily basis. So that's why those groups are so important. They're the ones that are experiencing this and telling us like, this is the issue that I'm having. My employees don't feel safe walking home. So, now we have, we have these coalitions of members to discuss solutions, and then we take that information and then we run with it. And that's where the advocacy part comes in.
Yeah, it's always good. It's good to be part of a team, and many hands make light work. You got to get that knowledge from people that have been there before so that you don't feel like you're walking into a dark room when you're trying to make a decision. I always use that analogy. Don't be afraid to walk into a dark room because you don't know if that light switch is going to be right there. So go for it. Might be across the room, but a little guidance will get you there. So let's now talk about broadcasting, the radio. It's a good time. And I believe this Zach Yentzer, why he's got an old, he's an old, what's the expression? An old
hand?
Yeah, that's the one. You're an old hand at radio, right? How long have you been involved in radio? You used to do this on, what was the station, and how long did you do it?
I did. I was on 1030 The Voice, KVOY, an AM talk business news radio station. I had a show on that for almost 5 years.
5 days a week too, right?
It was 5 days a week.
A lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. And now I get to be here.
Yeah.
And be a part of the Chamber's radio broadcast. Airs on Sunday mornings and then as a podcast. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been really good. And what about you, Melissa? How much experience did you have with any sort of broadcasting or hosting before you got thrown into this?
Yeah, right? That's a great word, throw. I actually never hosted before. I mean, I've been on the radio and, from different positions that I've had in the community, and I've been interviewed, but never actually hosted. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little hesitant at first because, to be honest, I always hated the sound of my own voice. But it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it. And it's fun having those conversations, not just on the air, but even off the air. And some of those, amazing ideas that our team comes up with, sometimes they just kind of come out of these conversations that we have. And prior to hosting the show, I always had a passion for kind of rambling and going on a soapbox about some of these public policy issues. And now someone gave me a microphone and is paying me to do it.
Yeah.
So
It's a heck of a thing to get paid to do it.
I know. Very lucky.
Heck
so
yeah.
It's been fun. And at first it was just going to be me, and then kind of organically Zach sort of joined in, and now we have this co-host vibe going on, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
As the producer who does get to literally not just listen but watch every single episode now, it's got a lot of vibrance, a lot of energy, and a lot of fun to it. I think even we have a lot of fun just brainstorming ideas for producing it. But also, let's not kill the lead here. What is the Business Of really about? It's every single Sunday morning after Lifestyle Tucson at 7:30 on all these Arizona Lotus stations, and there is a podcast, easy to find. So tell me what the Business Of is about and what the goals are for it going forward, because I know you're trying to make a few changes to it, and that's exciting for 2024.
Absolutely. So for people that have listened to the Business Of, for years now, had a model of sort of strictly just promoting our members, which we still do. However, now it's sort of changing a little bit in the sense of we are really focusing on the advocacy work that we're doing, the initiatives, the policy that we've been backing, and how that kind of relates to all these businesses that do make up the chamber. And then on those episodes, we either have a member come in that's related to the topic, or, even a past episode, we had another staff member, our director of workforce advocacy, come on and talk about his experience at a conference. So it's not just so black and white of, here's this business and this is what they do, but here's this business, here's how our work impacts them, this is why you should care. Over time, it's kind of organically grown into this thing where we've sort of helped connect the dots on certain topics for the audience, because we understand, public policy isn't everyone's thing. Obviously it affects everyone, but not everyone understands, how much it really does impact everyone. We are all connected. So that was kind of something we really wanted for the show, to connect the dots for folks and really help them understand this is why you should care. This is why it impacts you. You might think it doesn't, but it does, and it. So that's kind of what it's been growing into now. With the new year, we're going to be releasing some different tiers and opportunities for people to sponsor the show, and we're going to kind of open it up to a bigger audience, to invite more guests, and hopefully some community leaders can come onto the show. So there's a lot to still share. We won't share all now because hasn't been fully approved yet, but
ideation is still happening. That's right. We're still forming this thing.
It's still forming, but it's growing, and it's been really fun so far, and it's great to host the show with Zach. I kind of make him wing things at the last minute. I'm sure he loves that. I like to make him sweat a little bit. So it's been fun.
Yeah, so do I. So let me ask you this much then, Mr. Radio Fancy Man, 5 years, huh? What's the secret about radio hosting that we may not know?
The secret about it's mentally exhausting.
There you go. That's a good answer.
That's a secret. You start to get a voice for it that kind of comes in.
I'm obviously just looking for free advice here, Zach. All right, just come on, cough it up. All right, what do you got?
Can we restart that?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, maybe. I'm going to leave that part in though.
Leave as a blooper.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the secrets to radio is something that I think you do really well, Frank, and that is it really is an organic spot for conversation. And I think with radio, unlike TV, where it's very scripted and very quick, radio, if you can get it to a place where it's organic and relational, you're having a natural conversation, that's a lot of fun. It's also very tiring, and you start to get a voice for it over time too. Something happens where you start to access those lower registers, and you have a voice sometimes that not everyone gets to hear at the cocktail party, So.
Yeah, I actually do all the editing, and I'm like, man, I really got to lower my register a bit. Because sometimes at the Lifestyle Tucson, I'm like, oh, stop it. It's a little too nasally. I don't know. Any thoughts on nasally?
You want to ask me, the
No,
one who hates her voice
How
on the
dare
radio?
You? No, not at all.
Oh man, I still have yet to master the voice. But Zach's got it down. I remember the first time I heard the subtle shift and change. I was like, what just happened?
So I asked this of everybody, and it's just the final question because, we're that quick. You're having a good time. That's how fast it goes. If you had one wish for the business of, what is that wish?
More subscribers. Subscribe to our podcast.
But that's a fine reason. Because why?
Well, honestly, and we've kind of mentioned it before, a lot of the work we do is based off the work our community members do. And we want that feedback. We want to know the struggles and challenges and even the positive things that they've encountered being a business owner here in Tucson. We want that. So, aside from the numbers, it would be great to just have more folks on the show to share their stories. Like that is what Zach and I really joined the chamber for, the storytelling part of it. And we can't tell those stories without other people. Dang, that was heartfelt, huh?
Yeah.
I think mine is similar. On the one side, we would love for our great member businesses who have great stories to tell and great expertises to be able to show that and have more people know about what they do. And then also would love to have the show be a place where we can rally more members to the cause. And the more people that we have activated and working alongside of us on some of the issues that we're working on, the more powerful voice there is. So we want to champion great business. We also want to add more people to the team, our members who are helping us to advocate for the issues that are important to the business community.
I love it. Hey, it's a wish again that we can grant for sure, because remember, word of mouth is the best way for anyone to be successful, and hitting that share button doesn't cost a dime. So tell someone about the Business Of, because there's a lot going on here in town that you might not be aware of. And similar to Lifestyle Tucson, I like to say I did all the homework for you. It's a little bit like NPR, but it's like with the sleeves ripped off. Business Of is actually a little bit more like NPR, but it is. So they're really professional and they do a great job, obviously. And I really enjoy producing your show. I've learned more by being a producer on your show than really a lot of things that there are around town when it comes to, civics and being involved in your community and some of the stuff happening in town, especially local events.
Frank.
Well, no, it's true. Because again, you hear how much I care about Tucson. So when you do find and see the change that's happened since you both took it over, the direction you're taking the show, it is like, oh, now we've got a resource. Now we've got something. And we've got people that really care because you both really care, and again, like it's fun to be a part of it even when I'm behind the scenes, because I'm learning a lot, and a lot of people could stand to learn a lot about Tucson. So, and they could stand to learn a lot about the Tucson Metro Chamber, because I have a small business. I myself am thinking that I'm going to join the Tucson Metro Chamber because it seems like it's kind of the pool party I want to be a part of.
Heck yeah.
So, heck yeah. Let me just ask you this. Will you take a check?
What's that?
Not from you.
Well, then, forget this. Today, we almost made friends with Zach Yentzer, Vice President of Business Advocacy. And we did make friends with, what was your name again, though?
Here we are.
Yeah, Melissa Rociano. Communications and Marketing Manager, not a director? Okay.
No.
Don't worry, I'll tell you. You got a promotion for me as far as I'm
Thanks.
concerned.
That's all that matters.
I'm afraid, Frank, that our listeners won't know about our best frenemy forever relationship.
We might have to explain that when I'm your guest on the Business Of, which is coming up next, because that's what's happening here on this very special crossover extravaganza of the Business Of and Lifestyle Tucson, because what a good time it has been. Because today, again, we did make friends with Zach and Melissa, hosts of The Business Of, a show about the people and businesses that make Tucson great. Every Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m., right after Lifestyle Tucson. Be on Tucson's #1 Sunday morning radio show and reach 17,000 listeners. Thanks for joining me today, you two.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Oh, this just in. Lifestyle Tucson has 17,001 listeners. Thanks, Mom. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. A pretty great time talking to Zach and Melissa, dare I say it, of the Tucson Metro Chamber, talking about the Business Of. I really do learn a lot getting to produce the show, and really you get to learn a little bit more about how I do it and what I do when you listen to their episode where I get to be a guest coming up next. So that's very exciting. I love that we did a big holiday crossover edition. If you yourself are a small business, or really a big business of any size here in Tucson, you should go check out the Tucson Metro Chamber at TucsonChamber.org. That you can get all the information, maybe sign up. And of course, make sure that you subscribe to the Business Of on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are just doing business. And you can also follow them on Instagram at Tucson_Metro_Chamber and go get things done right there online and stay involved and get involved in the community by getting involved with the Tucson Metro Chamber. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it, regardless of whether they take a check or not. Yentzer, bah. Anyway, I want to thank our new friends at the Business Of for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are taking care of business. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, Frank Powers. Toot toot Tucson. I love you the most.